Good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. I want to welcome you again back to this uh, broadcast. Today, I would like to look at the situation of our nation, situating in side by side the days of Nehemiah, and try to see what could be learned, most especially by the church, and on how to address both the political and the economic imbalance that we have in practically most of our nations, and not only in Nigeria alone. And I think the having in our nation, Nigeria, is practically peculiar to other African nations. And so this today, wherever you are, wherever you might be watching, I just want to share a thought with with us. I took time to look at the situation of our country and also some other African country, except Rwanda, where the leader there, Paul, is so focused and really addressing the need of his people. And then not only that, South Africa, where the leadership there, uh, one way or the other, they may equally have one or two challenges that they may be going through. You know, we are all human. However, with regards to our whole nation, Nigeria, and some other African country, I would just like to share some thoughts with you. Follow me to journey with me to the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah chapter 5, reading from verse 1. And it says, and now the men and their wives raised a great outcry against their fellow Jews. Verse 2. Some were saying, we and our sons and daughters are numerous. In order for us to eat and stay alive, we must get grain. Verse 3. Others were saying, we are mortgaging our field, our vineyard, and our homes to get grain during the famine. I think it's no longer prophetical that our nation, Nigeria, is seriously going through famine. And that's why when you look at situations generally, situations of most on average Nigerian and some other African nations could be likened to the experience of the Jewish people as recorded in this book of Nehemiah chapter 5. But here, there have been a lot of outcry by the masses, of which when you take time to look closely, you discover that the leadership seems not to be paying attention to the yearnings and the aspirations of the people. In fact, it has gotten to a level when we look at our nation, Nigeria, there are so many individuals at political office holders in political offices, and you know that today that doesn't practically even have the slightest idea about the cost of things in the market. They don't know. Reason is because everything is made free for them, including where they stay. Our system of government, even though we claim to have been borrowed from both UK and America, but you discover that it had been seriously embellished. It had been Africanized to the point that even the people that we borrow it from, I think they still have an element of the fear of God than we that borrow the method and system of leadership, political uh, leadership from them. Now, African system have been Africanized to the point that uh, an average political leaders, office holders, with regards to Nigeria, have become so self-centered, just only thinking about themselves. You'll discover that, like in some other country, we see in some other nations of the world where their president go to the filling station to pay for for the fuel. But in Nigeria, every political office holder doesn't pay, and they take home per month is almost twice the per month is almost twice the annual salary of some president in some other nations. For you to know how how degenerated uh, the system of governance in Nigeria had seriously you know, deteriorated. From this passage, the people, there was an outcry. There was an outcry, and the basis for this outcry is because the people needed food, and in the bid of the because of the need for them to get that, they have to. From this account, you see there how they said that they have to sell. The verse 3 says, "Other says we are mortgaging our field." They mortgaged their fields, and they also said, "And our vineyard and our home to get grain during famine." They mortgage their field, they mortgage their homes, and then they mortgage their home, they mortgage their vineyard, they mortgage their field in order to get grain. So many individuals in Nigeria, they've sold off their properties in order to survive. Things have become so tough, so hard, to the point that people now, when you go on the street, you have a general picture of what an average Nigerians are going through. And in verse 4, and it says, "Still others were saying, we have had to borrow money to pay the king's tax on our field and vineyard." Things were so bad during this period that the Israelites have to go and borrow money to pay tax. The same thing like in Nigeria. In fact, those behind the formulation of various tax, we don't, in fact, I don't know the yardstick for the formulation. The same set of individual, the federal government will come with levy, the state government will come with levy, the local government will come with levy. And there are, in fact, when you get to Nigeria, it has almost looked like a banana republic where everybody is like a government on his own. The Firewood Sellers Association also imposed levy. The Transport Union also imposed levy. Come to think about it, there is practically nothing in Nigeria that is not levy. And so you now just discover that people pay, there is what we call double taxation on the people. The governments and those in leadership position have never thought about harmonizing the tax and to see what they could do to alleviate the sufferings of the people and also to possibly listen to the outcry of the people. A lot of individuals have sold their property. A lot of individuals have sold their properties to move down to their villages. A lot of people have left the cities. A lot of people have lost their job. And that's why you see some of those youths on the streets taking, joining all kinds of group in order to survive. See what most of our average lady on the streets of Lagos have been turning to. Even some married women are not even exempted. When you go around, you'll discover that things are becoming extremely tough. Today, an average a dollar now a dollar now go for an average of almost about 500 plus. A dollar to an average of 500 plus. So you can now just imagine the ripple effect of this on the life of an average Nigerians. Verse 5 says, "Although we are of the same flesh and blood as our fellow Jew, and though our children are as good as theirs, yet we have to subject our sons and daughters to slavery. Some of our daughters have already been enslaved, but we are powerless because our field and our vineyard belong to others. You see the situations now. And this the Israelite in this section, in this passage, verse 5, says that their children, they are not in any way better off than their own children. That is, and the same thing applicable to political office holder. Your children, wherever, most likely you might be listening and be watching this. Your children are not in any way better than the children of an average Nigerians. But you sometimes want to believe, an average political office holder just sometimes want to believe that they will live and die in the office. They fail to realize that people voted for them, even though votes of masses doesn't count in Nigeria. Vote doesn't count in Nigeria, even though million billions of dollars could be set aside, a mark for political for voting and whatever. You just discover that all this money most times and all the time always end up in the pockets of some very few selected individuals in the country. And that's why you discover that the vote of the people doesn't really count because whether the people voted or not, they already have their candidates, so that will be imposed on the people. So people's votes doesn't count. That's why you discover that during um, voting exercise, that either they vote or not, their vote will not count. People will just wake up and just come up with one falsified figures and for a particular candidate. It's just rather unfortunate. It's like our leaders are living as if they will not die one day. They fail to realize that they will render account. If you believe you will not be able, nobody will hold you responsible. And Nigerians are powerless, just like the way these people say. That's because they were powerless. Probably maybe because you believe that because you are a political office holder, the Nigerians are powerless. But you should bear in mind that there is a God in heaven before whom you will render account of every of your activities during on this side of eternity. You will render account. And then you also bear in mind that there are records of individuals that live exactly the way you live, and their generations suffer the consequences. Look at our nation. Look, go everywhere. You won't see any. And at the end of it all, sometimes people want to come deceive us with all kind of party. When PDP was there, they claimed that PDP was not good. And this current political office holder called APC, they came with a slogan, change. An average Nigerian believe that the change they promise will be to alleviate their problems, not knowing that they will add to their burdens and their problems. Now, what an average Nigerians enjoy during the years and the reign, even though the PDP were not all that good, they were also part of the problems of the nation. But when we look at it now, people now begin to place PDP side by side, APC, within a short period of their leadership. You'll discover that the situation have become so terribly bad. In the case of these children of Israel, they said their children, their daughters and sons have become, even though the daughters of this political order of political office holders are not in any way better than their own children, but yet their children and their daughters and sons have become slaves. When you look around, have all these political office holder not turn average Nigerians into slaves? Look at those in charge of markets. Look at what they turn all the market, all the traders. Look at what they turn them into. They've turned them into non-entity, all just because they believe they are in power and they can always get whatever they wanted. They can always impose levies on them. Look at transport. Look at transport. It has become so bad to the point that even when you are going out, you don't know. An average Nigerian doesn't really know how much it will cost them to return back to their houses. You can leave home with 100 naira, and to get back home after the close of the day, most times people pay through their nose. Reason is because now, like in verse 5, Nigerians have become slaves in the hand of political office holder. But however, in spite of all this, my focus this morning is on the methodology adopted by Nehemiah. What was the methodology adopted by Nehemiah? That is what I believe an average Nigerian should also begin to think about. Instead of probably, I will support the issue of those advocating for uh, no joining alliance with some individuals, some group or person causing disturbing the the peace of the nation, causing problems here and there. Instead of doing that, instead of going public and begin to create, disturb the peace of the masses, because at the end of it all, you discover that when people go out to demonstrate, you will still end up destroying the properties of average Nigerians, not even touching anything that has to do with all these political office holders that are impoverishing the people. You just end up discovering that we only end up fighting ourselves. That's why I felt like instead of we fighting ourselves, because see, you have no, we may look as if we don't have a power to address this political office holder, those in Senate, those in House of Rep, those in the governors, those commissioners, and those at the local government level, maybe those in the presidency, those ministers, the way they go on social media, ranting, lying, all kind of things, and even denying the facts that the people are suffering. Instead of we going public and going physical with all these individuals, I just felt like we learning from Nehemiah. What did Nehemiah did to address this problem of the people? Verse 6 says, when I heard their outcry and this charge, I was very angry. It's human for one to be angry. Verse 7 now says, I pondered them in my mind and then accused the nobles and officials. I told them, you are charging your own people interest. So I called together a large meeting to deal with them. Who do we have in Nigeria that were so courageous to face these political leaders? Who do we have that were so courageous enough to deal with them? Even some of our religious leaders that would have been so courageous to have done that, they fraternize with them, they've lost their sense of integrity. And some of them, one way or the other, some of them, one way or the other, not all of them, some of them in one way or the other, they are not in any way even better than them. They are even worse than some of our political leaders. So with that, they have no moral justification to even approach them. However, one of Nehemiah addressed them. Even though we may not have the an individual that will be so courageous to address these people and charge them, rebuke them the way Nehemiah did. But one of the things I also discovered Nehemiah did was that Nehemiah addressed the matter on his nail. So please, I want to beg you, my listeners, wherever you are, I want to beg you. All we need to do is that let's take time out. Enough of much of this talking, 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 less action. I'm not talking about we raising, uh, looking for means to fight. No, we don't need that. But there is a God in heaven that we can talk to. We can all go on our knees and table this matter before the Lord, the owner of the heaven and the earth, the owner of the soul of all these political leaders, and report them to God on our knees. I want to charge us, wherever you are, let's take their matter to God. If we take their matter to God, let's see if God will really handle it or not. But I want you to know, God listen. And I also want to give this note, sound this note of warning to probably if you're out there, you're a political leader, bear in mind, whatever a man sow, he shall reap. Don't leave the office and then your children will pay the consequences of your action while in office. Don't do anything that when you leave the office, your generation yet unborn will be paying the price. What I'm saying to political office holders, I'm also saying to religious leaders, don't do things that your generations will pay the price. Be careful of people under you. Try to see what you can do to alleviate their problems and their challenges. When you do this, I want to strongly believe that the Lord will bless you, bless your generation. I would like to stop here and I want to say, stay blessed, keep fit. Till when next I come your way, God bless Nigeria. God bless Africa.